Thank you so much for joining us. Now, the SACP says everyone who was killed or disappeared at the behest of the apartheid regime must be accounted for. And, with regards to the Timol case, this has just opened a major can of worms. History has been rewritten. What are we to expect? And what is the expectation with regards to the families that have been looking for their loved ones or looking for answers about what happened to their loved ones? What's going to happen going forward?
The judgment today is an inspiration to all of those families. Some families did not even discover what happened to their loved ones. Nor in fact discover where their bodies ended, because they just simply disappeared at the behest of the apartheid regime. The SACP was the first political organization in South Africa to be banned by the apartheid regime. And in addition to that, there are people who were abused by the regime, killed by the regime, and who were disappeared by the regime, accused of being communist, while some of them were not communist. So the SACP was at the center of the attack by the apartheid regime. We have been championing a fight against these cases, and we believe that today's judgment has not just opened the can of worms, but begins to question some of the policy decisions that we took after 1994.
Speaking of that, we had the Truth Commission early in the early 1990s, and as you say, a lot of questions are going to be asked. What does this mean for that Truth Commission process that the country went through?
Certainly there are certain decisions relating to the Truth Commission that must be reviewed. There were deadlines for claims by families who lost their loved ones and so forth. And all those deadlines have passed. What does this case today suggest from the standpoint of the Timol family and from the standpoint of the other families whose cases are yet to be decided in terms of full disclosure of the truth? Certainly there must be a review of some of the decisions we took as a country in relation to the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. Certain processes have to be reopened.
Now let's speak about the people, the team or the number of people who were involved in hiding the truth and in ensuring that in the 1972 inquest the truth was hidden, and there was a lot of flouting of a lot of truth, or everything was sort of swept under the carpet. What needs to happen to those people that were involved? For instance, the pathologists who put out claims that were not necessarily true, and today they've been exposed. And
of course, some of them, as the judge said, stole papers.
Yes, papers
you have
incomplete
documents. So all of them must face the music. The rule of democratic law must take its full course. And we would like to thank the Timol family for staying the course. We will continue to support them and support other families. It is very important that we build a national movement to uncover the entire truth and the circumstances surrounding the disappearance and the murder of many of our activists whose disappearance remains unaccounted for.
So, but
in other words, the history of our struggle has not been fully written. It has not been fully recorded.
So there's going to be a lot of work that needs to change there. Now this begs the question: if the Timol family had not persisted in pursuing this case and seeing it to the end and getting the answers that they were looking for, who should be driving this fight?
The government, the democratic government, should be driving the fight. We must say we have our own frustrations. You will recall that we have been leading the case of the Chris Hani family. I mean, there are many frustrations. We just discovered in the last appeal court in Bloemfontein that, in fact, the murder of Chris Hani was deported from South Africa while he was in jail. We didn't know that. We learned it from prison. That's not how a democratic state that is led by people who fought for freedom should be behaving itself.
Are we likely to see an inquest into the Khresani murder?
That's what we are fighting for, and there must be official inquests opened into the death or killings of everyone who disappeared at the hands of the police or disappeared as a result of the actions of the apartheid state. The Solomon Mahlangu family, the Steve Biko family, you name them. There are so many families that don't know the truth behind what happened to their loved ones.
Now let's speak about, we saw in the clip there to Ahmed Timol's nephew speaking of the fact that he prayed that Advocate George Bizos would still be around to hear this, and he's very happy that this process has come to fruition with the Advocate Bizos still there and able to be in court and listen for himself. What did it mean for a lot of SACP members who were part of a struggle at the time, and you know, the people who knew Ahmed Timol and his family? You managed to speak to them. What was their reaction?
Look, there is jubilation that at least we have reached a point where the truth has come out, but this only laid the basis for us to continue. Remember that the case has to be handed over to the NPA for prosecution of everyone who was involved in the shenanigans. But over and above that, we need to go beyond that. The executive of the state must think about this. We need a program that will look at all families, regardless of the status of their family members who disappeared. We need to account for each one of them and hold those who were involved in this crime against humanity accountable. We cannot say we come from an apartheid background. We pushed so hard for the United Nations to declare it a crime against humanity, yet no one was prosecuted for involvement in committing that crime.
Do you think these opening this can of worms and pursuing perpetrators in such cases and you know, ensuring that everything is brought to the fold or to the forefront for South Africans to see for themselves, do you think this will build the nation, or whether it might divide the nation, whether there'll be racial tensions from such cases being pursued?
A nation founded on the basis of lies or falsehoods will collapse. We need the truth in order to build the nation. And that is what the SACP has been pursuing.
Government's reaction?
We have not heard from government so far. We are calling on government to, to stand up and smell the coffee. We need to account for everyone who disappeared or was killed or was paralyzed or suffered, major injuries for their involvement in the struggle. Those things have not been accounted for. There are books written outside of South Africa as if our liberation struggle caused serious problems in terms of the families of those who stood on the side of the apartheid regime. It cannot be like that.
We'll have to leave it there for now. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
That was SACP spokesperson Alex Mashilo joining us live in studio. Time now for a quick break.